Reddit reports. Like, subscribe and hit the bell. What innocent search turned out to be porn. My retired dad thought he would do some substitute teaching. Classroom management was a problem as he had no idea how to deal with unruly students. So, on the school computer, hit Google up for some ideas on teen discipline. I shit you not.
That reminds me of the time my dad was mixed up in a public scandal and Googled extreme public humiliation.
Well, he certainly got their full attention. I bet some of them even gave the full salute. When I was about 10 and playing Morrowind for the first time, I wanted to find some high-level armor at a low level, so Googled ebony. I saw a lot of things.
I had something similar happen. I had to do a report on Hades for school and it said he had an ebony scepter, so I typed it into Google's search in the middle of the computer lab and got blasted with porn.
So anyway, I started blasting.
At that day the world opened in front of your eyes.
I searched up ebony on that Scribblenauts game when I found out about that kind of porn. Disappointed that it came up with a tree instead of a big booty black lady.
Scribblenauts was such a good game and kind of mind-blowing for its time. I bought it for my son and probably played it as much as him.
I was the best mum ever when he got it for his birthday. As a parent I loved it because he really had to think and it encouraged his creativity. Plus it was a shitload of fun.
I got 3 for you. 1. I typed in scat looking for the jazz singing, not knowing what the term also means. 2. I looked up Grandpa Piss trying to find screenshots from a Monster Factory video. 3. Not me, but my dad used to order golf balls online from Dick's at work before they opened one in OKC. He typed in dicksports.com, and was greeted by a gay porn site.
You gotta be real careful trying to find Monster Factory stuff. McElroy family content has a way of being, shall we say, easily mistakable for other content.
Just like Bart.
Toto tip, that's a Bart Simpson.
I've told this story before, but I went to high school in the late 90s just as schools were starting to get the internet. This was early internet too, where any innocuous search would bring up porn. That happened to me in history class. We had the computer lab, I'm doing regular history searches, porn comes up on my screen. I was sent to the office. They did not believe it was an accident, even though I'd never been in trouble before. I was suspended from school for the rest of the day. Then it started happening to other students and teachers, and finally they realized it was a problem. They did eventually get filters on the computers, but I was never apologized to. I just happened to be the unlucky sap that it happened to first. Similar story. One of the places I went for funny pictures was called The Stash. Browsed it during some free lab time, and one of the pictures I clicked onto was of an open casket funeral with the tip of a penis sticking out the top. The context was funny, so I laughed, which caught the supervising teacher's attention. She sent me to the office for looking at porn, and I had to explain that one to my dad.
Cough. Die hard.
Greater than unlucky sap. Lenny face intensifies.
One time in high school my teacher was using her laptop via projector, and we had gotten her off topic talking about her pregnancy. Yada yada, she googled black booties, as in baby shoes, in front of a classroom full of freshmen.
She learned a very important lesson that day.
And she never went back. I work IT in schools. Once had a report that the web filter had let something nasty through. To be honest, it was a shitty RM web filter that was out of our control, so not much I could do in that instance. Young child had searched for Little Red Riding Hood. Needless to say, what resulted included a non-traditional version. My, what a big you have. On a network with a real web filter, I had a very naive religious studies teacher who berated me for the system constantly blocking her searches. Finally got to the bottom of what exactly she was searching for, after much probing. Because she was hesitant to tell me, turns out she was looking for a new job and considering working abroad in the third world and didn't want her employers to know. Yes. She was searching for missionary positions. And saw nothing wrong in that. I wish I was making it up, given that these are supposed to be highly educated people. I went to school with a kid named Muff. In our 7th grade computer class, none of us, teacher included, could figure out why he kept getting a blocked/indecent content message when he tried setting up his account. Nobody else had the problem. Teacher retrieved another teacher, who told the whole class what Muff meant. School was never the same for that kid. You can imagine the delight of 30 12-year-old kids learning that at the expense of one poor bastard. Muff Diver remains his nickname 20 years later.
I think the nearest kid overhears him tell our computer teacher, so the teacher thought he could tell us and expect us to be mature. Narrator, we were not.
Real question is, who the fuck names their kid Muff?
I don't know if this makes it better, but it was his last name.
Last name Muff.
I'd say she needs Jesus, but he clearly left her already. There are many third-world countries in Latin America where you can find a single Jesus that could provide the missionary position she wants.
Click now to chat with Hot Jesus in your area.
Back in the wild west of the net, anybody who used com instead of go when trying to get to the White House's websites would find a hardcore porn site.
I miss the Wild West days of the internet.
When the content didn't matter, was actually content, no one was paid and viruses were everywhere. Now you have to listen to generic instructions, like, sub etc., while dodging ads and the content being some person with a face cam spouting opinions and reactions, and they make more than you do at your 9 hours 7-day-a-week job.
I like how random the things that went viral were. Everything is so curated now.
Stumbling into some random webpage or community and binging and adventuring around it for hours. So many people writing and designing their own sites. Yeah, I miss the old internet. Some things are nice, but we'll never get that level of weirdness and individuality back.
StumbleUpon was pretty fun to use back then.
StumbleUpon is how I found Reddit in the first place. Good memories. StumbleUpon was my whole internet experience.
The old internet was an amazing thing. It is really hard to put into words because it is basically the same but so very different. Nothing was smooth, clean, or tailored to be eye-catching. Everything was downright ugly but interesting. So many unique things to find, like going through a thrift store and digging through the shelves and old boxes. I remember having bookmarks out the ass for so many random specialized sites. Now I don't even need bookmarks, I visit so few sites. Kind of wish both ears could combine into something better. Less ad-ridden, not so tailored to your search and browsing history.
I hadn't realized it was over. But you're right. When are we going to start making Western movies set on the 1990s internet?
Hackers did it.
I remember the way that I found out about this was from a police officer at my school. They used to come in and teach us about drugs and illegal stuff. One of them used this as an example of how easy it is to stumble across porn. So of course later on everyone went to check it out.
What is wrong with people? Like every teen boy isn't using that as a guide. Lemang.
Oh, this was actually in like 4th or 5th grade. So they literally had children looking at porn, lol. Don't even get me started on farmclub.com https://farmclub.com, or was it clubfarm.com https://clubfarm.com. Oh well, one was a website/TV show by Fred Durst showcasing new rock bands, and the other, well, the other was a bestiality site. The Wild West indeed. Kids these days would shit if they saw the original internet. We had to stuff the dark web into a corner. It was once free to roam as well.
Greater than Fred Durst showcasing new rock bands and the other. Well, the other was a bestiality site. Close enough.
Ours was set up in the kitchen, but I only did my spicy browsing when I was home alone. One day my dad tells me that the internet company called and said that I had looked at a dirty picture on the internet and that if they saw me look at dirty pictures again they would have to turn off the internet. That was the day I found out about browser history.
As a software engine I often Google LaTeX terms. Sometimes I tend to forget that I need to specify that I'm looking for the text processing.
Image editing in GIMP can have a similar problem. If someone into BSDM edits images of someone doing the exact same thing, does that make it a GIMP jimping while jimping?
Only if they are in LaTeX.
Greater than software engine. Okay. Anyway, I know the feeling. I'm working on a book that I'm typesetting in LaTeX, and pretty much every time I need to look up how to do something I get slightly terrified of what might come up.
A few years ago, I was trying to explain Reddit to my wife and was telling her all about the different subreddits out there. At the time she was interested in crafting and sewing, so I showed her a few different subs. Then she started asking me about a few different interests for me to show her the results. All of these were pretty innocent and wholesome stuff. She was getting impressed. Finally she asked me about period piece movies and TV shows like the one she would constantly watch on BBC. So I tried a quick search for BBC and got BBC, but not the kind I was intending. Laughs were had. Now my wife has a Reddit account.
A Reddit account for BBC, good for her.
Male chicks. This was probably 15 years ago in class. I was looking for roosters and instead got pictures of guys in their underwear.
Greater than I was looking for roosters and instead got pictures of guys in their underwear. Yes, we all got taken for a ride while looking for cocks.
Searching for one type of cock and seeing the other.
Yeah, I hate when the damn birds pop up all over my screen during a wank.
When I was a dumb kid in the mid-90s, the computer clock was wrong on the classroom computer. The World Wide Web, as everyone seemed to call it at the time, was very new to me, but I knew you could find this stuff out. But what website would it be on? My dumb fuck little British brain decided BigBen.com, or co.uk, was a good idea. My first introduction to gay porn at around 8 years old. Edit. Seems a lot of people are asking if I'm gay now. Sorry to disappoint, but I am straight. Early introduction to massive cocks didn't turn me, as some have asked. I'm not sure that's how sexual preference works.
Yes. In 7th grade, age 12 or so, we did our first ever internet research projects. They were on topics related to ancient Egypt. In school we learned to use some search engines and how to identify keywords. My topic was King Tutankhamun. Looking to cut out the middleman in the search engine, I just started to type keywords and add a com, which is how I wound up on boyking.com and learned about winks. This brings back memories. Attempted to hook myself up with an email address. Apparently hotmail.com wasn't how it was spelled. I remember my awakening too.
As do I. Username potentially checks out in your case, by the way.
Remember that Adam Sandler movie Big Daddy? My grandmother was going to take me to go see it, but we didn't know the showtimes. Being the smart kid I was, I figured if we go to the movie website it would tell us. The website to the movie was not BigDaddy.com. I didn't even realize the mistake I made quickly because the internet was so slow. Had to get an eye full of a massive dong slowly. Line by line. And by the time I guessed what I was looking at, my grandmother walked in and damn near had a heart attack.
Similar, for Americans, WhiteHouse.com used to be a very graphic porn site. You were actually looking for whitehouse.gov. Edit. For those interested, here's a news article documenting this important part of American history. Whitehouse.com. To get out of the porn, be using this: https://www.seattlepi.com/business/article/whitehouse.com. To get out of the porn business. 1136674.php.
My Chinese teaching assistant wanted to get pictures for the next PowerPoint about kids' clothing. She went to Google and searched teen models. Yeah, I taught her about safe search after that one.
Huh, their clothing must not be very good quality if it keeps falling off like that.
She sat in the silence and stared at the screen. The faults in their clothes and the stuff in between. The pieces of fabric increasingly small. She whispered, "Well, this is just no good at all."
During IT lessons we were writing an exam while one of our teachers was preparing slides for an unrelated topic with the projector running. He was looking for images to better present slave as a concept and didn't have safe search turned on. It was slightly distracting to say the least. Well, to add a bit more context to his intentions, we talked while smoking during break in the courtyard after he was trying to introduce this topic. https://n.wiki.org/wiki/master/slave_technology/ very broadly, and in his mind, he wanted to have 2 slaves on the introductory slide, according to him preferably from Roman times, so he went to Google image search. Now, this was in Germany, so we have gendered nouns. All was still acceptable when he searched for sklav, male slave, but when he searched for sklavin, female slave, the results were about 60% porn. BTW, this was at trade school, we were all adults, and while he seemed a bit irritated, he just went through the results and couldn't care less until he found an appropriate historical Roman slave image to use on the slide, all while hardcore pornography was in full display thanks to Google image search. My 10-year-old wanted to see other 10-year-old naked girls. Makes sense, right? We had a little chat with him about that one.
When I was around the same age I looked up, boys peeing at school etc. because I wanted to see how boys peed. My mom freaked TF out. I just remembered another detail to that story. Instead of my mom telling me, she called the school counselor. The counselor called me into her office and tried to discuss with me, You really shouldn't be searching about naked boys. Are you curious about the male body? I was so embarrassed and still couldn't fathom that I did anything wrong. A cool years ago I asked my mom why she called the counselor. She said, I didn't know how to handle it. I was afraid that you had seen something you shouldn't have. Whatever that means.
Had to have a chat with my 6-year-old child when in his history I found a Google search for girl farts.
When little Timmy went to see his therapist one day, he said, "There's something wrong with me. I'm simply not okay." It started 7 years ago. The thoughts inside my mind. The life I thought I used to know. The life I left behind. But now I try to drift to sleep, and all the things that were and all the thoughts I buried deep are back, and all a blur. He sadly sighed and shook his head. "That's why I've come to you. You made the perfect choice," she said. "I know just what to do." And so he felt a spark of joy, an ounce of hope and pride. She whispered, "Drop your panties, boy." And Timmy fucking died.
U/poem_for_your_ Sprague commented on my post. Life is good, man.
When Mr. Hunt and Mrs. Hunt had birthed themselves a boy, they eyed their teeny tiny runt with hope and peace and joy. "Oh, what a teeny tot," said he. "A bouncing babe divine. I love him quite a lot," said she. "I think he's rather fine." "Let's choose a name," proclaimed a Hunt, "to call this tiny tyke." A single name emerged in front. "Alas, my friends, 'twas Mike."
Are you typing marine orgasms?
Oh boy, finding that reference image for Fucus must have been a fucking mess.
They weren't that different. The com site showed the fucking and the gov site showed why we were fucked.
Should have searched bed boobies. Oh wait.
Sometimes we choose porn, sometimes porn chooses us. Why would you search that?